It's a technique for connecting up the series of vital events that take place in anyone's life: birth, marriage, death, so that you can reconstruct family histories. Now, as a technique, it goes back much earlier. Swedish scholars were practicing reconstitution early in the 20th century. But the key technical development that's due to French scholar Louis Henry is to refine it in an important respect. Henri was recruited to INED by Alfred Sauvy, I think, who was its early director. INED in turn had been created by de Gaulle, who was fond of talking about the importance of la France de son union. And Henri was deputed by Sauvy to look into the fundamental characteristics of human fertility, since indirectly that might have a bearing on government policy. And he was frustrated by the fact that those countries, we're talking about the early 50s, which had very good demographic information records, took censuses and vital statistics, were uniformly countries in which there was already a lot of artificial control of fertility. And those countries in which there was little or no control of fertility didn't have good statistics. And he came across, I don't know just how, the work that had been done on the bourgeoisie of Geneva. The biographies of individual bourgeois, members of the bourgeoisie, had been compiled from the late 16th century, I think, onwards, and gave Henri the possibility of studying the characteristics of fertility that he found important. Slightly to his dismay, however, they were amongst the groups earliest into their family limitation, which becomes a feature of Genevan bourgeois life by the middle years of the 17th century. So he still wanted more data, and he turned to French parish registers to see whether you could create the same thing for whole communities that had been done for the Genevan bourgeoisie. It proved feasible. I can't remember when I first read his work, but I found it very interesting and wanted to see whether it was possible to parallel that using English parish registers. David Glass had himself tried this, and we concluded it wasn't possible. He didn't do the work himself. He got someone else to do the work, but thought that the English material was not sufficiently detailed. I tried it on Colleton.
Why Colleton?
Because, well, the number of English parishes which have continuous registration from an early date is limited. And what was attractive about Colleton is that it had both periods when registration was very full, comparable to those in French parish registers, and periods when it was minimal. And I wanted to see what represented a sort of break-even point, what information you really did have to have if you were to be able to make a reconstitution that wasn't full of holes of uncertain linkages. Because the whole thing depends upon developing algorithms. It can now be done electronically, linking the vital events that take place in the course of someone's life.